Hey everyone, welcome back to Slow English Stories. I am Leo, your storyteller and English teacher. Have you ever had a day where absolutely everything went wrong and you felt completely hopeless? Well, today's story will change the way you look at your worst days. We are going to explore why everything happens for a reason. But before we start, do yourself a huge favor. Turn off all distractions. Put your phone on silent. Close the door. And if you can, put on your headphones. This will help you hear every single word clearly and immerse yourself in the story. Are you ready? Let's begin. In a small, dusty valley, a young man named Abe sat on a cold stone, staring at his empty hands. The sun was setting, casting long, dark shadows across the dry ground. Abe's heart felt heavy, like a piece of lead in his chest. Just yesterday he was a proud manager at a big trading office in the city, managing valuable accounts. But this morning, because of one single mistake, a misunderstanding about a contract, his boss fired him. He was cast out into the street with no money, no job, and a reputation that was completely ruined. Before we move forward with Abe's journey, let's look at a few words here. The word staring means looking at something for a long time without moving your eyes, usually because you're thinking deeply or shocked. Another word is valuable, which describes something that is worth a lot of money or is highly important. When I said he was cast out, it means he was forced to leave a place suddenly or was thrown out. For our grammar point, notice how I said Abe sat on a cold stone. The word sat is the irregular past tense of the verb sit. We use the simple past tense here because the action started and finished completely in the past. Abe walked for hours until his feet bled, finally stopping near a quiet river at the edge of his home village. He felt like a total failure, unable to face his family. Suddenly, an old man named Levi approached him. Levi was the village elder, known by everyone for his calm eyes and gentle smile. Levi sat beside the weeping young man, listened to his painful story, and softly said, "The heavy rain that ruins the mud house also fills the dry well, Habe. Do not judge this day too quickly." Let's pause to understand some language. The word bled is the past tense of bleed, which means to lose blood from your body. When Levi approached Abe, it means he came closer to him in distance. The word weeping means crying quietly because you were deeply unhappy or in pain. Look at the grammar here. Levi sat beside the weeping young man, listened to his painful story, and softly said, "This is a great example of parallel structure in the past tense. When you list a sequence of actions done by the same person in the past, all the verbs should match in form: sat, listened, said." Abe shook his head bitterly because he did not believe the old man's words. How could losing his dream career be a good thing? To survive, Abe had to help his aging parents with hard manual labor in the fields. His smooth, office-trained hands became rough, covered in painful blisters from gripping the wooden plow. Every single day was a battle against exhaustion. He missed the fast-paced life of the city, the excitement of trading, and the digital screens. He felt trapped in a loop of endless, exhausting work under the burning sun. Let's look at the vocabulary. The word bitterly means doing or saying something in an angry, hurt, or resentful way. A blister is a small bubble on the skin filled with fluid caused by hard rubbing or burning. The word exhaustion means the state of being extremely tired where you have absolutely no energy left. Let's focus on a grammar point here. His smooth, office-trained hands became rough. The word became as the past tense of the linking verb become. We use linking verbs to connect the subject, hands, with an adjective that describes it, rough, showing a change in state or condition. One afternoon, while Abe was turning the dry soil, a massive dust storm suddenly rolled over the hills. The wind howled furiously, blinding everyone on the field. Through the thick dust, Abe heard a terrifying scream. It was his father, whose foot was pinned under a heavy, sharp boulder that had rolled down the ridge. The local village doctor was miles away, and his father was losing blood rapidly. Abe knew that if he hadn't been fired from his city job, his aging father would have been completely alone on this field, and he would have bled to death. With his new, physically strong muscles built from months of farming, Abe lifted the massive rock and saved his father's life. Let's explain these words. The word howled means made a loud, long, crying sound, just like the wind does during a powerful storm. When something is pinned, it means it is held down firmly so that it cannot move. A boulder is a very large, smooth rock. For the grammar point, notice this structure. If he hadn't been fired, his father would have been completely alone. This is called the third conditional. We use it to talk about a hypothetical situation in the past and its imaginary result. It shows how one past event directly prevented a tragic outcome. As Abe sat by his recovering father's bedside, a knock echoed on their wooden door. A traveling merchant entered holding a letter. The merchant looked at Abe and said, "A grand trading company in the neighboring region is looking for a manager who truly understands agriculture, soil quality, and local crop movements to handle their multi-million-dollar supply chain. Your old boss told me about your mistake, but he also said you were the most honest worker he ever had. And now, seeing you know the earth firsthand, you are perfect." Abe stood in absolute silence, tears filling his eyes as the open loop of his suffering finally closed. He realized that the disaster in the city wasn't a punishment, it was a preparation. Let's look at our final words. The word agriculture means the science or practice of farming, including growing crops and raising animals. The phrase firsthand means experiencing something directly yourself, rather than just reading or hearing about it. Suffering means the state of undergoing severe pain, distress, or hardship. For our last grammar point, notice the phrase, "Seeing you know the earth firsthand, you are perfect." The word seeing is used here as a conjunction, meaning considering the fact that, or since. It introduces a reason for the statement that follows. Wow, what an incredible journey for Abe. It shows us that life doesn't always move in a straight line, but every single twist and turn has a purpose. Thank you so much for listening and learning with me today on Slow English Stories. If you loved this story and want to keep improving your English fluency, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell so you never miss a lesson. Now, I have a challenge for you. Go down to the comments right now and write one sentence about a time when something bad happened to you, but it later turned out to be a blessing. Practice your English, and I will read your stories. Stay patient, keep learning, and I will see you in the next story.